welcome back. So, I'm gonna do another episode on Shaligrams. Uh, so if you haven't seen, I probably have at least like 70 hours of discussing, just looking at Shaligrams and discussing their features and elaborating on why they're not fossils, the Ammonites within them, and instead are caused by current flows. So in the last one I mentioned one that had a crack that goes back. I thought it went this way, but it goes this way. That then has like a dendritic structure. So I jumped ahead a little bit on my list to start off with this one. Then we're going to get back to where we were. So this one, here's the ammonite down here. And then its plane is like this way. Chakra there. These are chakras. So like this one, that it's kind of doing this with the chakras here. But then imagine this one has like an upward segment up this way and back along the rock. And then it's got this feature, like this is not in the plane whatsoever. This is in this direction. So it's clearly not in the ammonite structure, but it is threaded to the ammonite off of the top right here. So if we go to Shaligrams, as I typically reference at some point in the video because it's so relevant, is the current flows that are shaping the stone, etching the stone to create this, will collide at the far point from both directions, which I talked about at some point as being like dependent on the particulars of the particles. So like dependent on if it's a current of water and shale or water and whatever other material, they'll move at different flow rates, which will then ultimately go in opposition with one another and lead to a at the far point a excess pressure, because the currents don't have to collide, they can pass one another, but they are most likely to collide at the far point here, as well as at the top and the bottom, and 1/3, 2/3 kind of thing around the circle. So here's another one here where it's going off the side, off the top, off the bottom. This one also goes off the top and then does some anomalous stuff that really, like this one, wouldn't happen. So maybe I'll just open that one, 283, real quick and just check it out. So this one has it going off the top, and these wrap around the matrix like so and create teeth up here, and then also collide and have a current flow shoot off of it here to etch the stone. Okay, so same thing here. It's going off the top. Notice it's physically the top of this, like because it's in this plane. The top is, here's the bottom, here's the top. It's going off the top, and then it bends where this whole thing here goes up to is behaving like a chakra, where it's like creating another tier. But because of the shape of the rock, it didn't actually form like another lobe outward, and probably other details. Instead, it went back along this surface of the rock and went this way, and even arcs here So this is that structure with really clear dendrites and circle openings, which happen all the time. Like if we go to like this one again, it's effectively it's doing like this kind of thing along this boundary. So it's doing a ammonite structure connected off the top in a way that's not within the plane of the ammonite whatsoever. But is, and also this is from Maraw.com, I think. A website I found some Shaligrams on. And then it continues over here and just creates these structures. I mean, clear as day that it's ammonite features connected to this ammonite, but not part of the ammonite. Really representing that this is not a fossil. I mentioned this in the last one. I don't remember. Maybe I can glance through and see with regard to what, which Shaligram I was referencing that. I think it was the first one that I looked at in the last episode, which was this one. I don't know why I would have mentioned it with regard to that one. I'm not sure which one I was referencing that, but just for reference to the last episode. So it's here because it's 8:18, and I'm only on 778, so I probably won't get to that for a couple episodes. So I figured I should just start with this, and start with it because it's cool, so we can see the chakras down there. Chakras that bend, it goes over this way, and then it goes up this way. And then see my last episode for more details, where at the end somewhere I drew like the way a crack like this will create little teeth, and then those teeth will widen and create chakras and create an ammonite shape sometimes. In this instance, it created the dendrites, which is really interesting. I don't know why exactly it would have done this, but it did. Clearly connected, clearly part of the ammonite, but not part of the ammonite. And related to the ammonite, but not like one with in terms of in the same plane. It shouldn't do this if it's a fossil. This would take another fossil here, but only like this component of it here, but also this component of it here connected exactly through the top of this one, through a channel that's really etched, like clearly etched through to here. And then it like evacuates the pressure, like it goes through this channel but doesn't have enough space here. And maybe there's more pressure here too, holding this, so any current flow underneath the layer, like it's not just flowing along the outer edge, it's flowing from within the ammonite, a water current that's etching this under this layer, under this and over, under and over, but also like branching out into the surface and creating this channel visible, but with pressure, like holding it so it can't really release the current. So the current mostly continues through, it seems, until it reaches over here where it has a place that it has less pressure, so it can actually come out of the stone more easily. So that's incredible. Okay. So back to the sequential list. The next ammonite from after the last video is this one, or next Shaligram, which has the typical Ammonite opening that Shaligrams do, the window, but then it has these current paths etched in it. I haven't really looked at it. I haven't thought on it yet, so let's glance through them. That's B, this is C. Before I talk about it, let's just see how many I got in this one. G, H. Okay, we got H. Okay, just glance in. D, C. I guess this here is maybe over there. It looks like right there is there. So there's this one, and then these current paths that wrap around this way and then like short circuit through this way. This tends to happen a lot where a current kind of like drills in and creates a little tab terminal thing on the side to make this shape like Pac-Man shape. So that's going on there for some reason. Possibly starting to happen there as well, kind of like two separate ones within this structure. I don't know. Big old nucleus also. Looks like some teeth forming here in the white etching beyond the boundary. Like this one doesn't really have teeth on it visible very much. That happened from the ribs. Okay, so then there's this ammonite structure that we noticed, and notice here this is very circular, and then at the top is this offshoot going this way that then wraps around. So unlike the other one, it doesn't wrap and go up this way randomly and create a dendritic structure over here. It connects back to itself, which in the other one's circumstances, it probably just couldn't because the rock was curved. So it went up, up and out, but then it went around a curve, so it went like that way because of the shape of the rock. But in this instance, the surface of the rock from this side is generally like relatively flat. It's probably, it looks like it bends around a bit, but it's not so bending as to have this current flow like go over an edge and flow away from the system. So instead it does what it usually does, which is connect back to itself if it can, which it's doing it from both directions again. So like there's a flow this way and there's a flow this way that actually connected, that could produce an offshoot current this way. It didn't. Over here it goes this way, it goes this way, but it doesn't connect. But it does have a little sort of thing like this, although it's a little bendy. And then even subtler around this ammonite is another lobe structure going out this way, and another boundary. So like there's ribs here. Here's a chakra going down, and then like a lowest level of the chakra, but it probably went into the stone a bit and came out over here enough to etch here, or like vice versa, went out of the stone and back in over here to go back through and up and connect into here, but it didn't. Like, it's because I don't see any pores. Sometimes there's a connection port, if you will, like through, down through. But it's not going on there, so it's probably more so going out of this, but extending the boundaries of the eddy out of this to down here and around. Some reason it doesn't really continue over here, maybe because of the shape of the rock. It looks like it's kind of fading down this way, like it's kind of bending a little awkwardly. It's not going straight across, possibly even inducing this in part. But it's got some teeth there. This is more straight. It's got this gap, another gap over here, some real small teeth, it looks like up there, and then relatively straight, teethless over here. This also has some teeth Interesting. So this lobe that goes out this way and goes around actually looks like it connects over that way and then connects over that way. So like it's getting around the rock enough here. You can kind of see it more so bends a little bit. Like this is more one face and another face. So it's like reaching the other face and starting to bend that way. So if we go back, it's going that way and wrapping around, but it's also wrapping around this way and interacting with this current off of here. We even see two threads, like this current's thread going like that, and then they merge over here where this one goes past it and then vibrates back above it and then emerges over here. Incroyable. So that's that, where it's vibrating back around it and then continuing. This is probably continuing the same currents. But we see the teeth going on here, a lobe type structure happening, but pseudo, where it's not really formed. Trying to form, but not really. And then maybe even like a Ammonite center current, like a current that's like in this instance going generally across it to a point where it etched it, but in this instance just going across. Maybe kind of gives me that impression looking at it. Okay, this one again, some teeth kind of randomly over here, some more teeth like things here. Chakra, or two chakras, top bottom chakras, another chakras, so 6 chakras there. This one goes through the rock. Notice this ends generally where this bends here. It doesn't extend past it. It's got that current flow off the generally off the tip. Maybe the center is a little more this way, but it's still going off there. This lobe goes out this way. Doesn't quite connect with itself, and this way. Eroded more so this side, which reminds me one other thing. See my last video for more context of what I'm about to say. I watched the video and this came to mind. I was like, maybe it might actually, it seems relevant and maybe even important enough that I want to just mention it real quick. I was looking at this, talking about this shaligram and how it has a chakra forming in the rock here, down here, and as a positive chakra because it's large, and then a smaller one up above it, so like a negative positive, and then it's forming a lobe out this way and a flat face out this way. And it occurred to me, like positive is like a mass, if you think of it like that. Like positive is more, so it's like a mass. Negative is less, so it's like a void. And it seems like if you look more closely at these two paths off of this lobe this way, they're not really centered like between the chakras. They're really coming off of the negative chakra, which is kind of interesting. I was like, that's odd. And then I was looking over here, like maybe this one is more related to the positive chakra, like it has this point here, but then this side is like downward. Almost like what's going on here is eroding the positive chakra more, where this side is more like this. Whereas the negative, which is the lobe is forming off of, is Like this is pointing at this corner, this is pointing at this corner, and it seems like it's kind of eroded more there than over here. So like opposites. So it made me think maybe like this, the negative chakra tends to be the like source of the lobe that becomes a void, while the positive chakra leads to a flat face that then becomes more like this, like this. So like maybe a positive where there's more mass here, negative where there's less mass here, where current was like encouraged this way, off of more so off of the negative chakra, whereas current was encouraged this way off of the positive chakra and involved in etching and producing this mass, I guess. It's kind of what I was thinking. So I just thought I'd throw that out there while it was just popped in my head. Okay, so let's keep going. So second or third opening, 2 chakras. Let's see, we see that, we see that. See that, we see that. Those chakras there. At this angle, we can't see. There's an opening through the stone back that way. Notice there's this little threading connection point, like from, not from where this and this meet, like over here, but actually from this one, right at the end. Like it's running into resistance and shooting off this way and interacting with current over here to produce an eddy, which then produces a chakra Ammonite structure. And then also off this way, maybe that's interacting with this. It seems at least like it's interacting with the current going this way that bends because of the pressure to go this way. Where this maybe bends around this way and goes back. Like they're relatively in line. Like this is pointing at where this is coming up. So if there's a current coming up this way that runs into this current, it deflects off it. Like they're kind of doing the same shape, but deflecting over here. And causing this to bend, but then an ammonite forms there. Some other curiosities there. And this, notice this one is within this like face, where this one is probably within like a face back there. It's got some interesting things across it we can't really see very well. Different lighting we can see through this time. Maybe we could see. I can't see the white. It looks like there might be some white back there. This one we can see the background. But some other little etching. So it's etching around this way into here. And I guess shooting up that way as well. Probably into here and bending for some reason that relates to this. So this is the opposing side. So through this opening on the opposing side is this, so we can really see the chakras in the little window. But then again, out of the far side is this current path that bends here, goes down this way, and then feeds into here, or vice versa. I'd imagine it feeds into this one because it's coming out of the center tip. So current at exiting this generally went down this way under pressure again. Like, this is not happening in some modern day circumstance. This was highly pressurized water where caused by the global flood, that the water was held against the stone so it couldn't easily get away. So even when it passed through the stone, it ran into resistance of exterior pressures and flowed this way. And then I guess it like short-circuited that way somewhat instead of wrapping around, but some of it wrapped into the stone here enough to produce a chakra, an ammonite structure. Which maybe tried to produce a lobe this way and a lobe this way. But it's in a weird shape because it's on the edge of the rock like this. Another opening. Looks like it's producing a lobe that way, the downwardish one between the lobe. Doesn't really go any further over here. Almost has a boundary like there. I don't know what we're looking at on the left side here. Let's see. First opening 2 chakras. Let's go back. I guess that's this one at a different angle. Okay. So that's this one, and then above it, it should be that one. There. So this one, probably, if we go back again, is related to what's going on there. Like, there's a current going through the stone back there, back through that opening and wrapping around this way and connecting back after going through that other ammonite. This one, after going through this. And connecting back through over this way, which then feeds into this one and branches off to produce like a lobe here, but because it interacts with this current coming this way, it is caused to bend this way. So I guess that's what's actually happening. It's not coming up, it's going out this way and trying to go up and around to produce another lobe like this. But there's a current coming out of this one this way that shoves it down, but also like deflects off of it enough to go over this way. Which is maybe why this has like a straight path too, and maybe even a little threading to connect. And then this looks like it wraps around and goes back up over there. Okay, so that was from Rujak's Guru. And Rujak's Guru again, so again coming out of the tip there. Going around that way, also interacting perpendicular with some other currents, I guess. Looks like another subtle tip one there that may or may not continue. Smooth chakras. Interesting little etchings there. So this, I guess, is the opposing face, because this looks generally... Notice also, again, there's a flat face that has a boundary. That's generally maybe like here, and the ammonite is within the flat face. At a corner, though, I don't know, instead of like centered. Maybe related to that the like current had a boundary down here too, that it ran into more and more resistance in this direction, in terms of like maybe it was sitting on this base like it's standing right now. I don't know, but it looks like the same shape. So this is the opposing face. So we see an ammonite here, what seemingly is an ammonite here, pushing its boundaries, so again, occupying the same space in a way that fossils cannot do. And again, a lobe over here that really shouldn't be if they're fossils. Like this is basically like a section like this that doesn't have the other side or the chakras forming. It just has the lobes forming. Another ammonite with some extending around this. Let's see what else we got. So, okay. Here's that segment it was etching. Looks like maybe it was trying to make a chakra there. Another one. Let's go back. So another one there. Again, overlapping this one. And then this one. Pushing the boundaries of this one. And some interesting interactions here. It looks like like an eddy was forming out of the rock, like spiraling out of the rock, kind of. So the boundary of the eddy was influencing this a little bit more. Just similar to here, like this was spiraling beyond the boundary of the rock, but still within it enough to create part of an ammonite shape. Probably this one too, but more so in the rock, and so on. Again, though, like we see this generally flat face where it's like the first image. It's largely flat all the way down to the very boundary, but over here it's not. Like there's a limit to the flatness where then it bends off this way, as we can see by the just shadow. So it has like an exterior, but then down here it really doesn't. Although that would be up here where the exterior is, I guess. It looks like this is the bottom here. Opposite to it. So opposite to this, wrapping around to here. I guess through that way is this, maybe? Polar structure, like a pole here of the rock that has an eddy wrapping around it. Some teeth-like structures forming, but just pseudo, and it's sort of nucleus too. And then an outer boundary there, connected from there. So I guess this one is producing a current off of the tip that's going to the outer edge, which then has an eddy forming because of tangential current flows. So there's probably another current involved that's really contributing to producing an eddy here, which then produces these features. Which even looks like it kind of bends over this way, maybe. It's pretty straight, but it does bend a little, and then goes towards the terminal, though. Like once it reaches the terminal, it bends to like a optimal side, like a chakra. Like a chakra's forming here with a boundary here, so a current doesn't optimally go there. Instead, it goes around to the very boundary and passes through, where again the eddy is flowing like this and back this way, so it bends the current this way now. Maybe even like flows in, like this goes over, around, and flows in and out kind of thing because of the shape of the rock. So there's that ammonite over here. That's that. continuing around in these paths, branching off there a bit. I guess this is that one, going across, bending, and then continuing across. Let's see. Continuing across there, maybe? Maybe that's there. Where it then feeds into other systems and interacts with the current over here to produce more Ammonite structures. Okay, this is from Enchantica, obviously. Really, like, defined a larger Ammonite structure up here and down here, but with a boundary, like, hard boundary right there. Relatively, like, perpendicular. And then again, another hard boundary. I don't know why exactly they would do that, but it didn't shape beyond here, which is pretty interesting. Like, this makes more sense as, like, the rock is wrapping around, that it wouldn't be able to etch into the rock as easily, so the shape would be, like, ending here. Over here, I don't know why. Like, this one, it does similar to this, it extends over. But for some reason, it doesn't etch in this region or in this region, even though it's relatively flat-faced there. So I would expect it to, relatively. Possibly because the currents are flowing from interior outward, like in this V shape. So when they reach over here, they're like beyond the boundary of the rock relatively. So it just doesn't influence it, and instead influences it up to the edge. But still, I don't know why it doesn't, like, etch through further. But from just a traditional Ammonite, like, standpoint, like, this is highly anomalous, I would say. But from a current standpoint, it looks like a regular shape. It doesn't look like an Ammonite, like, in its totality. It does interior, but like in terms of this little like square, or whatever, rectangle segment, like it looks like regular shapes in its final outcome shape, but it doesn't look like an Ammonite in its totality, which currents can do, but Ammonite fossilization is probably not kind of explainable here, like, except for just hand waving it. Even though I maybe hand waved the current aspect of it a little bit. See all my other videos. Again, going out the tip there a little bit, going around. Looks almost layered there too. Okay, nothing too exciting on the rest of the rock. It looks like there's some etchings in terms of where the current flow path was on the surface of the rock, but it does kind of look like the rock is wrapping around here in the larger side. Like it would go this way, and it starts to go around the rock, really. Not so much over here, I don't know. Like, definitely is doing it, but just, it's kind of like a sphere almost, with a relatively flat face here. Okay, let's just move past that one. It's just mostly, it was the Ammonite, the way it formed, but not lots of details to connect the threads together. This one got an Ammonite over here, obviously, another one here, chakra there, chakra there, chakra there. Looks like a chakra might have been generally forming up here. Gone there if there ever was one. Looks like maybe a chakra there, and an Ammonite type shape here was taking form. That was probably interacting with this system in like a, almost like, is it one or two systems forming, and it wasn't stably forming like one overall system, so it formed one here, but they're very connected because it was ultimately like approaching a singular system more like this, where the chakras could have formed out of this material up here and maybe out of this material down here, but because of circumstances it didn't. Connects through over this way from this ammonite to this ammonite structure over that way, or vice versa from here over this way. So they're connected. These are not connected, it seems, at least in a real clear etched way. Maybe a little bit trying to go that way, and maybe it even went in across there, but hard to say. Let's get some other angles. Maybe we can make some stuff out over there better. So there's another ammonite back right there where that red fabric is, I guess, or whatever. That's probably something on the ammonite, on the shaligram, and not actually part of it. But it's a chakra there, ammonite structure there. Let's look at this. This looks kind of like the mass of an ammonite, like if like this. It looks kind of like this segment might have been sort of forming here. It's like a rib and an interior boundary that arcs. So maybe this was forming the mass, like a negative over here, and a mass that went up this way and around and connected back, but it didn't connect back. Like it would have normally connected back, but it didn't, because this one instead went over here. This one would have connected back here, but since this one didn't, it just continued in a straight path here, I guess. So it's sort of produced an ammonite shell here. Looks like another face. I think this is the one we saw over here. This is this one. And then next to it is this little sort of ammonite imprint, like sideways. That is a little too close to this chakra system. Another ammonite opening. It looks like chakras there. Lobe. Also looks like this and this, where it had a chakra between them, chaining them together. Something else there that looks kind of like it might have a chakra, something going on there and there. So that's what we're looking at here, and here is, I guess, this. I guess that's this. Yeah, that's probably that. And then this is this. And then over here we got a chakra, or an ammonite with dual chakra. And then another ammonite type structure where like a nucleus was here, a larger lobe was forming out this way. Which we can see again here. And again here. Okay, this is from Kaishal Rudraksh Imperium, which I believe is on eBay. I believe this is from eBay. I'm not completely certain, but that name is probably Googleable. Let's see. Probably has shops all there. There's definitely an eBay shop It might have been from Amazon.in. That's actually probably where it's from. The Indian Amazon website where I sometimes look. Even though I can't like purchase from India on Amazon.in, I can look at the postings, and this was probably one of the postings because I did look at those recently. So we got the Ammonite here. We got boundaries beyond the Ammonite that are like etching. It's basically etching beyond the Ammonite. A pretty straight looking nucleus. Odd. Also a little boundary here forming. Like it could have etched another tier. Also looks like it tried to offshoot like this and go do another lobe here. And that's probably why it like reached a point where it instead went up this way. And it just etched in this area. And then some other teeth structures down here that maybe connect back. Let's see what other angles we got with these. The Amazon ones tend to only have like 3 pictures, so this might be a little less clear what's happening. Another just like current etching path. It looks like it generally points up to the boundary of the chakra. And this one maybe relates to the far boundary for some reason. Where this segment is kind of related to the chakra, like in here. Some reason. Forming some ribs. Looks like it was forming a lobe with a chakra here that could have taken form, but this is all that happened. Another one from that website, or from that KRE, as I name it. Whatever it was, Kaushal, something, Rodrox Imperium. So again, really defined Ammonite here, right? But then it's forming, like this, is forming a lobe relative to another lobe over here with a chakra forming, but at its boundary, at the boundary of this Ammonite. So it's like chaining them together again, which then seemingly probably connects over there too. I mean, this is obviously the dominant eddy, but there's another eddy happening over here forming these little pseudo chakras at the edge. And it looks like this shape might even extend it over into here in a like anomalous way, where it's not regular, it's like weird shaped, possibly. Really flat face here. So notice this stops. This maybe continues. Let's see what else we got. Goes back. It stops here, but it goes back. It doesn't continue this way though. Like if there's a shell in this rock, it should still like occupy the space across this way in this material and not just back that way, more like this. Also, this staggers as it approaches the boundary, like goes over and seemingly goes back and then goes this way. Almost like it's running into resistance of a current that's flowing across this way to a point where it like moves to a different energy level and then goes something a little further from the pressure source, if you will. Like there's a flow flowing from over here this way, or essentially this way, maybe around the rock too, or just around the rock, flowing this way though. So when this current approaches it, it actually can't get past it because it's holding a boundary, but it can get in, like, interact with it better further over, so it moves over enough where then it can go through. This also looks like it's forming a chakra here, and like a flat face lobe, like that one that I showed with the positive negative side from the last video that I was talking about a couple minutes ago. That was probably like 30 minutes ago at this point. Chakra, the ammonite, the nucleus is all like blown apart also. Then there's more pyrite over here than over here. I don't know exactly why. Let's see. These are angled. Like the chakra is angled down, up though, so that this side of the ammonite has the upper side of the chakras in both instances, where this side has the lower side as like a spray point. So maybe there's some kind of separation process that leads to pyrite being more so over here, that relates to the chakra structure and the rock structure. Like the rock leads to these chakra structures, which lead to the pyrite being separated over here for some reason. Same one. So we see that it goes back and around this way. It goes across there, but I guess it... that might be there. It's hard to say. Let's see. Yeah, no. Doesn't really go back that much there, I guess. This one continues though. All goes around and then that way. Some kind of oddity there, almost with a chakra across a lobe and whatever, like connection point to this ammonite. And then just like another boundary connecting that doesn't really, like, it's up here. It's not this, it's up here connecting to this in like a V shape. And then forming like a mass over here in this shape, and then opposite to it, kind of maybe even below it, like this way. Like, in terms of equal opposites, where this is a mass above, this is a mass below, where this is maybe like the negative side and the positive side, and the positive side attracts the pyrite, where the negative side attracts this material more so. I guess the pyrite being larger particles and this being more shale, fine-grained particles maybe. Looks like it doesn't go behind it. Behind this. At least not in a way I can see distinctly. Cool little features around it too, but let's keep going. Another, this is the bottom face, I guess. Looks like there's something going on beyond this, like on the back side, that we might not have another image of. Over here. Nope, that's it. This is again from KRE. Another mass with the little dendritic parts to it being etched. more mass in here that's like being removed. Like this. It's being removed by an eddy here. That's swirling. That's going underneath material and removes all of this. But then over here it did not, although it has these current paths here, which are kind of odd, like they're extending from the spiral. They're also not particularly in line, like these are in line here. But this looks like it's gone much more down, I guess. At this point, it's probably going across. So it's related to the ammonite, obviously, to the current flows inducing the ammonite here. But it's elevated from the bottom in a way where like it's eroding underneath it to form more like this. Notice it's cutting into the rock here too, so it's forming like another layer, so it could remove like more than this even. Also, this here, like these are spaced like this and spaced like this, but then over here they're smaller. Fossils don't do that. Fossils would not do this. It's like dividing into two. Each of these big ones is dividing into two practically. So it's probably like here etching underneath and creating another tier that's more visible there. And removing this upper layer to reveal like a second channel down the middle of it, as well as another layer of the channel here. So like underneath this is two, probably pseudo forming. I should have ate. I didn't eat yet. Coffee will do, right? Same. Okay, there's a reason I took both these images, and it's because off of here there's this path that I was like, I can't really see it in this image. I remember now. I can see it here. Like, so if there's a current going under this and flowing out, like producing it at this elevation, basically at this layer, and then another current flowing outward, generally out. Basically, there's an eddy spiraling this way, and there's a central point where current is flowing out from it. It's flowing an eddy into that point, but then once it reaches there, it doesn't just stay there. It flows out like a spray along channels that it etches as the interior. So the eddy itself spiraling around holds an upper boundary here, while the bottom lower boundary is formed by these channels where the spray point emits current paths away from it. So there's a eddy essentially going under this mass, flowing under it physically, that then goes from this very tip and looks like it feeds in this way into the structure it's forming enough to etch into it and create this like channel of material of pyrite that threads through and even maybe branches off into all this. Cross this way maybe even. Restart that because we reached the final moments of this Tibetan Reiki balance for the energy system. No copyright. File. Okay. I don't think we can see the sides of this very well. There's the back, I think that's it. So we only get the front face of it, really, and the back face, not the side. So we can't really look at what's going on over here. This is also forming little, like, blotches. Okay. Another one from Rujak's Guru. This one, the chakra here, Ammonite, Ammonite. But notice this chakra is generally where this structure ends, especially like its boundary, the boundary of the chakra. And then over here, this chakra is where this one ends. So they're like staggered but related in that way. And it even has like a little thing between them that kind of extends towards here. And it's not quite this boundary. And it's not quite this boundary, but it's kind of like within it. Some interaction. And then this looks a lot like a lobe, like one of these segments with the chakra forming there, So it's forming like a lobe here. But because these systems are there while it's happening, it didn't really coalesce into an ammonite structure. My stomach. I wish I had a banana right now or something. I don't want to stop filming or walk away while I'm recording, so. Then some teeth things going on through there for some reason. At this boundary. Right up to it, and right up to this boundary. Like a lobe again, but just in a pseudo way, arcing there to pretty much where that starts. Okay, this will probably be the last shaligram for this video because I gotta eat. Ammonite, chakras, chakra over there. I should have just looked at this one and been like, this is a good one to stop on, so it's in the next video started as the first one. I don't know what the one after this looks like. It might not be as many features. I'm definitely gonna go through it a little faster than I probably would normally. I don't know what to make of all this stuff. There's some teeth there. Maybe a whole lobe going on there. Maybe a lobe pseudo forming here. Looks like this ammonite is related to this like etching path here. Like a channel that it had current flow this way. Out of a pole, sort of, so to speak. So this is maybe that, I guess. Looks like it might be. Like this is that one, yeah. Over here. And then this white stuff and this white stuff, that one. Okay, that's this one then. On the side. Just looking for anomalies, like the way this is, boundary is. Looks like the rock generally bends a bit, especially because this is here. Like there's a more distinct bend in the rock here that probably wraps around generally there. So like this spiral didn't actually go around the face to this side, so to etch it, and so it like took the boundary of this face to then have a straight segment here instead of a more curved, like totality, but it's still like continued as if that didn't happen over here. And then it kind of trails off when it reaches the boundary of this face over here, I guess. Looks like a chakra, lobe, some sort of lobe forming out this way, or sort of trying to form. Maybe a chakra, lobe also. That's probably nearing the end. Okay. Crap, I'd hate to start on that one. No, this is probably not too bad to start on. Okay, I'll stop there. Alright, thanks for watching. Till next time, see you around. Peace out.